Good afternoon, everyone. Starting with some strange lights over Naples. Polar vortex gonna get you end of January. These are record cold temperatures inbound, if it's true. Rothschild's auctioning millions of assets as I look through empty museums across Europe. What's going on? Predictive programming, Mount Everest, a volcano, Beijing, longest December cold wave in history. Knocked loose in clouds, UK, unusual rice prices, 15-year high. Cocoa soaring. And if it's good enough for Venezuela, good enough for America, we're going to increase our continental shelf claims. Probably some oil down there, too. And wanted to start you off here with some beauty coming over the full moon, looking at cathedrals in the distance. It is still that time of the year. Are you feeling the warmth? Because if you're in Naples, you're probably looking at this wondering, and myself, I'm wondering, what can make this type of circular array of lights in the skies penetrating through clouds, and it's not that cold where it's 30 degrees Fahrenheit below zero to allow ice chimneys and ice pillars. Definitely not that. Something different. If you know what it is, leave it in the comment box below. And let's jump over to Beijing. Longest December cold wave in modern history. Now, I thought it was maybe just cold temperatures, but apparently it's 327 straight hours below zero or below freezing temperatures. For those of you in the metric system, below 32 Fahrenheit for the rest of the United States. So apparently that's a record, 327 hours at freezing or below. And we look at unusual temperatures over the UK as well. Dazzling UK sky watchers. You need at least 108 degrees Fahrenheit below zero to get the wispy ice crystals. Rare in the UK anyway because it's that far south. But there's something happening up there that we are unaware of or aware of and not really telling the public because that might panic them. I wonder. Hunga Tonga sun blocking anyone? Moving over to the polar vortex. This will be your forecast over the next couple of days moving into the 24th and 25th. Going to be incredibly cold. You see the swirling model off the GIF. But when you come out to pivotal weather here, I look at these temperatures, and this is absolutely Arctic temperatures reaching all the way down into the southeast U.S. Now, these are not below normal temperatures. It looks like apparent ground temperatures. And look at the periphery of the purple where it's showing 5 degrees Fahrenheit below zero in places like Tennessee. And if you saw the previous chart, it was showing 50 degrees Fahrenheit below zero in North and South Dakota, places like this. So it does seem that we are in a changing period, electromagnetically induced, affecting all on the planet. And, you know, the Leave the World Behind movie was out, and the new predictive programming bevy of 2024 is inbound. But here's another one, Mount Everest. It's not Mount Everest. Mount Everest is now a volcano that goes off and causes global changes to agriculture for 10 plus years. That's what the movie's about. Your agriculture gets destroyed by a bunch of volcanoes going off. Gold has soared past $2,000 an ounce. Wars in Israel and the Ukraine. Rate cuts on the table are fueling gold's meteoric rise. Meanwhile, our national debt is skyrocketing higher above $34 trillion. There's a direct correlation to the national debt and the price of gold. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. And you got to wonder why there's so much predictive programming this year for 2024. Remember last year it was all about economy, supply chain. But this year we're getting economy, supply chain. You're going to get moved over to a central bank digital currency. We got all the supply chain disruptions from XYZ choke point across the nations and worlds of our planet. And now they're going for the food. Now they're, throwing the cherry on top, no pun intended, because it is food, it's fruit. But we start to see a lot of things broadcast that food's going to get disrupted. whether it be naturally, like a huge amount of volcanic ash in the air that would dim sunlight and then reduce global agriculture, or the supply chains itself are going to get so locked up that delivery of farm implements, farm repair parts, machinery repair parts, anything that you need in the farming process that's delivered in bulk by sea, like fertilizers, for example, this type of thing is being totally disrupted. So now you're getting mixed layering messaging, and everywhere you look, how much are you seeing of it? It's everywhere. Now, is it a psyop to try to get you to believe that all these things are going to happen so you give up hope? Perhaps, but don't do that, because, you got to look into the media and how they truly have been trying to bend our world. So we create the world they intend to create with little friction, because you've already agreed to it, that it's already baked in stone or whatever, set in stone. But it's not. It never will be. It only takes that 100th person to say nope, and then it always twists and bends through history. So is the world really set in stone as we march forward? I don't think so. We all have a chance to change it, and we should all be working for that in 2024 instead of blindly accepting what they're telling us 2024 will be like. And another huge broadcast of something definitely is going to be different, and the treasures need to be evacuated from the palaces or sold off, the little trinkets that they don't find so valuable, but in the outside market it might be. Why are the Rothschilds or the Rothschilds auctioning off millions worth of assets? And if you go over to Christie's, which I did, you can take a look at the blocks during the auction. Global Observer's sending this one out for us. Rothschild masterpieces, or Rothschild, as many in the States would say it. And also, if you're in the United States, most time you would say Geneva in Switzerland, but it's Geneva is the proper way to say that. Here's your auction blocks. Each one of these anywhere from $2 to $6 million per block, and I encourage you to go look there. It's mainly like one-off silverware, brooches, all kind of different things from a house. Like, imagine if you had houses for 2,000 years and you just ended up with like one spoon because the rest of the set got lost, and that's, you're just getting rid of all that stuff basically. Some random paintings, maybe they aren't worth as much, or maybe they're fakes, who knows. But check out the auction blocks here. It's rather thick. There's thousands of items for sale. And it was kind of interesting to see at the same exact time of all this predictive programming of things changing, and, whether or not, and then I'm over here in Europe and I'm seeing empty museums everywhere I go, which is like really strange for me, because I saw the same thing in New York. And I don't understand why all the museums are empty and they keep using the same excuse, like, oh, it's under renovation. Speaking of Ponzi schemes and Rothschilds, the Federal Reserve, the world champion, Ponzi schemer. So the U.S. public debt topping 34 trillion, 35 inbound, and like, oh, it's almost already here. So the U.S., our interest expense now to service the debt in America is running over $1 trillion now. So they have to accrue at least $1 trillion to break even on the interest paid out. That's why a lot of countries don't want our bonds any longer, because we're going to just have to print more money to try to service that debt, and every time we print more, our dollars are worth less. So here, a good gauge for you, 34 trillion of national debt in the United States is the value of these economies combined: China, Germany, Japan, India, and the UK. And you'll understand why the minute we decide to print more, they're like, whoa, we're going to trade amongst ourselves, because maybe your green stuff isn't so valuable. So when we're looking at a healthy economy, this is what wealth distribution should look like. You get that middle class called the center there. And to the left, that would be considered poor. And to the right, you would be considered rich. And that's what a normal bell curve in a healthy working society looks like. And what we actually get down in the wealth distribution of the United States is mainly controlled by the 1%. That's at least 80% controlled by 1%, possibly higher. But that far left off the bell curve, that is a huge amount of poor. And you see why there's so many people now struggling. This graph explains it, and why people are complaining about food prices and things. But you're going to have to start taking control of some of your food supply. And here is one way a few of them are doing it. Manager at Home Depot understands it. 1 deer, 2 deer, 3 deer, 4 deer. You might call them rednecks. I call them my neighbors of self-sufficiency. We are outside the cities. Rice prices rising to 15-year highs. Oh, that's great. I thought everything was coming down. I thought inflation was in check. Yeah, don't believe the talking heads at MSNBC. Cocoa prices soaring 70% in 2023 alone. But again, we don't live on chocolate. Let them eat cake instead. And if we come down to, if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. Honk, honk, honk. The U.S. initiates extended continental shelf claims. Thought that's a pretty interesting article. Another way to show it is, they're trying to get a little more out in the Arctic and out in the Bering Sea. And it looks like they're trying to scarf up a little more oil drilling areas. But wait, why would they do that? I thought we were going away from oil. Because Venezuela grabbing parts of Guyana, same thing, same, but different. They're just grabbing more oil blocks out offshore. But I thought we were going away from oil. So it's good enough for Venezuela, definitely good enough for the United States. And then as you look at this map extended, wow, that's a lot of extra territory they're trying to grab offshore, isn't it? The claims, 1 million square kilometers to continental shelf claims. So that's about 600,000 square miles to those of you in the U.S. And bringing you back to some gold-top snowy vistas here. Energy resonance chambers is what I see. So I'll leave you with a moment of zen as we move through the warmth of the rest of January. Polar vortex included. Power outages expected. If that were to be that cold, you would be without power for days or a week or so. So get the hot bath water ready. And you might want to think about some storable foods, 3-month emergency food supply. My picture supply in ADAPT 2030. That link's in the description box below. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Bye for now.